material against a variety of living cells: bacteria, animal skin cells, human blood cells. Eventually, they get a reaction. The alien DNA quickly attaches to human somatic stem cells. It uses them to make new copies of itself. There's nothing new or exotic about this behavior. We've seen it many times. Because the alien life form is a virus. 2 months ago, our greatest fear was a massive alien mothership in low Earth orbit. But everyone knows it's the little things that get you. It begins with one person. A slight fever, a sore throat, some aches and pains. Then, there are two. As the spheres divide, their microparticles can get into cuts or be inhaled.
The one virus that we have eliminated is the smallpox virus. That is really the only one. The problem is that it takes more than science to get rid of viruses. It's a matter of public health.
Once word gets out that the alien spheres are making people sick, the only thing that spreads faster than the virus is worldwide panic.
People will try anything to keep things out of their personal space. They'll try bug spray, they'll try guns, they'll try ditches, fences, and Clorox.
In the case of the poliovirus epidemics in the 20th century, the viruses seemed to target children. And so American towns would put up signs saying, "Children not allowed in this town."
The most paranoid seek safety in underground bomb shelters or on remote tropical islands. Editorials clamor for a vaccine or a new antiviral drug to inhibit infection.
Viruses are basically not alive on their own, but when they're in a cell, they are symbiotically alive with the cell. When they get embedded in a cell, they hijack the cell, and the cell then produces more of the virus.
In order to infect a cell, a virus has to interact like a jigsaw puzzle. So the virus tricks the cell into making copies of the virus DNA. Some viruses, when they insert their genetic material, the genetic material becomes integrated with the genetic material of the host, and then it just reproduces along with the host cell.
Everyone you see, everyone you meet, is a potential carrier of an alien flu or something even worse.
It's possible it could take a very long time for a mutation to manifest. The mechanisms of delay could be something like the way in which a virus goes into hibernation in the body, which we see with HIV. It's not clear why it couldn't be much longer, why it couldn't be decades as opposed to years.
Hospitals are inundated. The CDC works to track the pattern of infection. So far, the symptoms are so mild that figuring out who's actually infected and who has the common cold proves nearly impossible. Those who've had direct contact with alien spheres are at a greater risk. But we don't know if and how contagion can spread through humans, or how dangerous this virus actually is.
Viruses get a bad rap. Understandably, the viruses that we're most aware of are the ones that kill lots of people. But many viruses have already become essential parts of our genomes. There are certain viruses that produce essential proteins in the placenta, without which we couldn't have babies.
Over the past decade, biologists have found a way to declaw some of the world's most devastating threats and transform them into life-saving allies.
Polioviruses are being developed to specifically kill tumors. The virus that causes AIDS, HIV, can be made into a vector that carries genes into cells that have a genetic defect and restores the function of those cells.
There are even people who believe that the intelligence breakout that made us different from the dolphins and the chimps and the prairie dogs might have happened because of a disease, some DNA that got embedded into our genome by a virus.
Fully 8% of the human genome was delivered by viruses that long ago copied their genetic code into ours and left traces behind.
Viruses are able to move genetic information between organisms that wouldn't otherwise exchange genes. And that's perhaps a very nice way of exchanging data on the biological internet, as it were.
What genes are being delivered to us by this alien virus? Could they affect our brains? Give us better eyesight? Will this virus transform our species into an alien-human hybrid? We have no idea what lies ahead. But as the spheres continue to divide, they disappear into thin air. Change. Airborne. There is no escape. The virus-bearing spheres continue, turning to dust. It seeps through every crevice, covers every surface. In the nation's capital, Congress activates a Cold War relic, a nuclear fallout bunker in the West Virginia mountains. The human population divides into camps. Those who can get to an allegedly virus-free zone, and those who can't. Or choose not to.
Could we exist in a state of symbiosis with an alien species? I'm not sure we're mature enough to handle something like that at this point. There are people who simply can't stand that thought. They react with revulsion.
There are billions of flu victims worldwide, but no fatalities. With each day that passes, a realization grows. This alien invasion might not be complete until future generations are born.
Is this virus injecting a code into our cells that slowly, completely, radically changes our cells? But at the same time, we have no basis to know that we're being changed, because we're all being changed in this way.
It only takes a few generations to start changing and incorporating a mutant DNA into an organ has a better capacity to survive.
If alien genetic material merges with ours, what will that look like? Will our progeny have green skin and 14 fingers? Possibly. But the most important changes may happen under the skin.
I do think we're a species worth saving and worth fighting for. Everything from our emotions, our ability to be compassionate, our five senses are wonderful things. And who knows what senses these aliens might have. And how neat would it be if there was some sort of sixth or seventh sense that the aliens possess?
For months, we have feared being wiped out by an alien organism. But maybe the long game isn't domination. Maybe it's cooperation on a molecular level.
We think of cooperation as a moral idea, but in fact, cooperation is as essential for life as competition. Cooperation is the other side of Darwinian evolution.
Multicellular life arose as a result of single-cellular life clumping together, giving up their individual capabilities to gain the power that a collective has.
Complexity has a survival advantage, right? A bigger organism has an ability to occupy certain niches in the environment that single-celled organisms can't exploit quite as well.
Perhaps the aliens are offering us a great leap forward. Do we even have a choice?
There's no point in fighting a superior technology. The native species invariably either dies out or is assimilated.
350 million years ago, prior to emerging out of the water, we essentially sensed things just a few body lengths ahead of us, sort of like driving in the fog. But once we emerged onto land, we suddenly are able to perceive a long distance ahead of us. What I think is going to happen is that those spaces over which we're aware will get larger and larger over time.
As human beings, all we can see is our own time span. Humankind would be much better off if we could look 1,000 years into the future.
One by one, the remaining burdocks dissolve into air, as if they were never here. Just by breathing, billions of people around the world step into the unknown. The aliens who take over the Earth could be our own children.
We pass on our legacy to our children. They carry it forward. They speak of us to their children. It's quite possible that this might happen across the galaxy, at which point even the death of the sun wouldn't end your civilization. What a great destiny.
Only time will reveal our future and our fate. For now, most things will not change. The sun will rise. Every day, some people will pass away, while others are born to take their place.
Congratulations, guys. It's amazing.